Lesson 5-4, what to do with the remainder. In these word problems, we're going to use long division to set up and solve, but once we get an answer, we're going to think about the situation and make a decision with what to do about the remainder. Let's get started. Number one, a school bus holds 36 people. There are 697 students who need a bus to get to school. How many buses will be needed? Okay, and you will notice I've started to put my work down here. To set it up as a long division problem, we're taking the total number of kids and dividing by the maximum amount each bus can hold, 697 divided by 36. Now, I'm going to, in my mind, think about 36 as 40. How many times does 40 go into the 69? Well, 40 times 2 is 80. And 40 times 1, of course, is 40. So it's going to be 1 or 2. A side calculation of 36 times 2 shows us that it overshoots it. So 36 times 2 is too big. 72 is greater than the 69. So we'll go with 1. 36 multiplied by 1 is 36. We'll do our subtraction. 9 minus 6 is 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. Bring down the 7. And now the new number that's formed is 337. Go back to the find step. Thinking about this divisor as 40, about how many times does 40 go into 337? Well, 40 times 8 is 320, which is very close. And so let's test out 36 times 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 comes down, 4 gets carried. 8 times 3 is 24, plus the 4 is 28. And that is very close. Let's test out 36 times 9 to see if we can get closer. 9 times 6 is 54. 4 comes down, 5 gets carried. 9 times 3 is 27, plus the 5 is 33. Very close. So we'll put a 9 up here. We saw that 36 multiplied by 9 is 334. 7 minus 4 is 3. So we have a remainder. And the answer to the long division problem is 19 remainder 3. Now, we need to go back and rethink about the situation to decide what to do with this remainder. A school bus holds 36 people. If there's this many kids that need the bus to get to school, how many buses are needed? Well, look, we can fully load 19 buses and have 3 left over. So how many buses do we need? Well, if we go with 19, and sometimes you might just jump to the conclusion that, 19 is our answer. The problem with only sending 19 buses is we've got these 3 kids without a ride. So in actuality, we need to take this remainder, we need to round it up. We need 20 buses to get all these kids to school. Now we could fully load 19 of those buses and then give our VIP 3 remaining students a whole bus to themselves. Sounds kind of silly, but could do it. But we're going to need 20 buses. Number 2, bottles of water cost 75 cents each in lunch line. Julian decides to buy some for his friends. He only has $10.45 in his pocket. How many bottles of water can he buy? Okay, so let's take the amount that he has and divide it by the cost. Remember, we're going to need to convert 75 cents to a decimal. And the way that we'll set this up is we will What we do to one side, we need to do to the other. In this case, I'm going to push the decimal point, whoop, whoop, 2 spots over. So I'm going to do the same here, whoop, whoop. And I'm going to rewrite this problem as 1,045 divided by 75. How many times does 75 go into 1? Nope. 10? Nope. 104? Yep. 1 time. 75 multiplied by 1. 75. Let's subtract that out. 4 minus 5, we need to borrow. We need to subtract across the 0 here. 14 minus 5 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. Bring down the 5. How many times does 75 go into 295? I'll think about 75 as 80. 80, 160, 240, 320. Okay. I'm thinking 3 or 4 times. Let's do 75 times 3 first. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 comes down, 1 gets carried. 3 times 7 is 21 plus the 1 is 22. Okay. And let's test out 75 times 4 just to check. 4 times 5 is 20. 0 comes down, 2 gets carried. 4 times 7 is 28 plus the 2 is 30. This overshoots it slightly, so 3 is what we want. 225 comes down here. 5 minus 5 is 0. 9 minus 2 is 7. And we have a remainder. Now, think about the situation. How many bottles of water can he buy? Well, he has enough to buy 13. So that's our answer. But what do we do with the remainder? Well, we ignore it. This is leftover change. We don't care about the remainder because the question is only asking us how many bottles of water can he buy, not how much money does he have left over. So what to do about the remainder? We ignore it. We care about the whole number only. The 18 members of the hockey team earned $657 selling popcorn. They will divide the money evenly to buy uniforms. How much can they spend on each uniform? Okay. Let's set it up. 657 divided by 18. I'm going to think about 18 as 20. How many times does 20 go into 65? About 3 times. Let's test that out with a side calculation. 18 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 comes down, 2 gets carried. 3 times 1 is 3 plus the 2 is 5. 5 minus 4 is 1. 6 minus 5 is 1. Let's bring down the 7. Now, again, 18, let's think 20. About how many times does 20 go into 117? Well, 20 times 5 is 100. 20 times 6 is 120. 5 or 6, let's test out 6. 18 times 6 becomes our side calculation. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 times 1 is 6 plus the 4. And that checks out. $17. 7 needs to borrow. 17 minus 8 is 9. So we have 36 remainder 9. Look at the problem. The 18 members of the hockey team earned this amount of money selling popcorn. They're going to split or divide the money evenly to buy uniforms. How much can they spend on each uniform? Well, it's a little over $36, isn't it? In fact, now I need to show my answer in terms of a money amount. How to do that? Let me tell you how. First, I'm going to write it as a mixed number. 36 remainder 9 is the same here as 36 and 9 over 18. What is 9 over 18 in simplest form? If you said 1/2, you are correct. Now, what is 36.5 shown in terms of money? A decimal. We need a decimal here. Half of a dollar. If you said 50 cents, you are correct. $36.50 is what each of the members of the hockey team will end up on. A carton of juice holds 64 ounces. There are 4,285 ounces of juice left after the pep rally. How many cartons are needed to store the leftover juice? Okay. Let's do 4,285 divided by 64. Use rounding to get in the ballpark. 64 is close to 60. About how many times does 60 go into 428? 60 times 7 is 420. That sounds pretty close. Let's test out 7. 64 times 7. 7 times 4 is 28. The 8 comes down, the 2 gets carried. 7 times 6 is 42 plus the 2 is 44. Oh, overshot it. Okay, let's dial it down. Let's test out 64 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 comes down, 2 gets carried. 6 times 6 is 36 plus the 2 is 38. There we go. Eight minus 4 is 4. 2 minus 8 we need to borrow. 5 comes down. Notice how my side calculation can actually help me with the next step of this. We already tested out 64 times 7 and got 448, which would be just a little too big here. So we're actually going to go with, we've got to dial it down from 7 to 6. We already know what 64 times 6 is, so we've already calculated it. 5 minus 4 is 1. 4 minus 8, the 4 needs to borrow. So, how many cartons are needed? Well, I could fill up 66 cartons perfectly, and then I'd have a leftover 61 ounces. So, that 67th carton just wouldn't be full all the way, but I still need 67 cartons to store this. So I'm going to round up.